I tried as a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks I know. Not getting tired of talking, so I made up a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up. I know it can sound a little bit strange. Everybody is talking. You need someone ready to change. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay, 'cause it's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm flying higher. I'm ready to swim right now. Geeksvana. Don't miss any highlight. There's something you may like. Drums are ready to fly. I'll tell her to do it right, so I'll tell her to do it right. Geeksvana. We're feeling alright. We're flying higher. We're gonna win tonight. We're here just for the audience. We're gonna show what you're going through. We wanna find you the perfect drone. There's no one else who can help you out. It's time that you made your mind up. I know it can sound a little bit strange. Everybody is talking. You need someone ready to change. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay, 'cause it's the right time. I'm feeling alright. I'm flying higher. I'm ready to swim right now. It's better. Don't miss any highlight. There's something you may like. Drums are ready to fly. I'll tell her to do it right, so I'll tell her to do it right. It's better. We're feeling alright. We're flying higher. Gonna win tonight. It's better. It's better. It's better.
Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live and to a fairly impromptu live show this evening. I hope you're all extremely well. Down here in the UK, it is still extremely warm. Well, warm for what I'm used to. So I have a fan on, so I hope that's not messing with anybody's headphones, etc. Do let me know in the chat if it is. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are coming together, obviously, for, as you saw in the title, the breaking news that the Microdrone 4.0 campaign, on Indiegogo at least, has, it's not status necessarily, but it's showing as a closed campaign. So I wanted to put together this very quick live stream. It's not going to be a long one this evening, but to explain some of the things that could mean, but also have a look at what could happen next as well in terms of the backers and that type of thing. Because of course it's 100% these shows are put out there to try and help and support those backers, frankly. So yes, here we are. Thank you for the Snapshot Drones for his shocked face as the first message in this evening. The Mojek, great to see you as well. I wonder if this is good news or bad news for the backers. Yes, indeed. Well, that's something we're going to come on to and have a chat about because I think it could be seen as both, personally, frankly. It does depend on what happens in the next 24 hours, in my opinion. I think the next 24 hours is key in terms of knowing who, what, why, and what happens next. The Mojek also points out that we raised just enough for, was it Susan last time? Yes, there was $220 raised. Now, we haven't bought out the perk or anything because we still feel that that was a generous donation towards Susan from the community, and her perk still needs to be refunded separately as well by Extreme Flyers. We all know that after that stream, Vernon tried to jump on that boat, as it were, in terms of trying to really attempting to take that money to actually buy the perk out, but I think he should still be made to actually turn my background lights down a little bit because they're a little bit in my face on the screen, so they must be on yours. So yeah, so we are taking that money and putting it through to Susan at the moment. So yes, we're just checking a couple of things on that. Johnny DRC, good to see you as well. Thomas Bricks, good to see you. Wonder where Caps Lock Kurzweil is hiding. Well, we did, of course, give the right to reply. There wasn't much time to give a right to reply this evening, and we have reached out to inform him that the show is going on. I wanted to at least ensure that we were very fair and upfront that this was happening in those terms. Jim Beauchamp, good to see you. Ellis Mean, Mike Drennan, hi, another one of the backers, good to see you as well. I see that for Flyby Guys, Stephen, my usual co-host, is there, who's be joining us tomorrow evening for our normal show. Jim Bob Koff, good to see you as well. Yeah, well, thank you everybody for joining us in the chat. I really do appreciate it. It's obviously something which has become a regular event on Geeksvana as far as trying to provide you with updates on what's actually happening behind the scenes, and also the information that we're finding out. Now, we do have a lot going on at Geeksvana in regards to this campaign. It's going to be interesting, as I say, in terms of the next 24 to 48 hours, as far as what's going to happen is going to impact some of the work that we're doing, but only time will tell for that. Firstly, I do want to say that I have no secret info. This isn't a live stream of sort of, I don't want to sensationalize what is a tough time for backers. You've all been through an awful lot already so far, and I don't want this to be something which is drawing out that pain or anything, but I've had so many messages from backers and viewers alike once they heard this news that they wanted to get my thoughts and opinions on what's happening, and also what I may or may not have heard myself as well. So the latest situation, in my opinion, it doesn't look good in terms of refunds and that type of thing, and I'll explain that during what will be a short show this evening. I'm also doing this live this evening because I've been taking a little bit of a break from having recorded content on the channel, just to have a couple of weeks off to rejig things in the studio and do a couple of other bits and pieces of projects, but change the way that we're actually bringing our recorded format content to the viewers. So that will be restarting at some point next week. We've got a couple of live shows before that happens, which is exciting. Okay, so earlier today, we were the backers who are active on the IGG page, and those of us that keep an eye on things, we noticed that obviously there were the usual comments, only really up to about an hour before anything changed on the page. The usual comments from the campaign owner Vernon Kurzweil, again talking about the fact that there are hundreds of moving parts to creation of this product, not just one task, and of course COVID's made it more complicated. It's not necessary for you to understand every one of these in detail, but no, and trust in the process. The same old, almost bot-like, as some people have even in the comments on Facebook tonight have suggested. And again, within the last few hours, very much the usual type of comment that we've come to expect from Vernon, frankly. But yes, we have had a change. Frankly, we have had a change. Now, viewers of the MD4 site, let me just bring that up here. There we go. Took a second to come up, didn't it? Can now see that there is a fairly major change there. As you can see on the top of the page, it now states here, the campaign is closed. Again, ironically, just the title of the campaign is left there at the top there, MicroJ 4.0, affordably priced under $200, which is a really ironic statement to leave up there. And again, as you would expect with these kinds of systems, because it says that is closed, it then jumps on to show you things that you may be interested in, and then it shows the rest of the normal campaign page below it, with the story, the FAQs, the updates in inverted commas, and the comments. Oh, Graham Sterling, if you're watching, thank you very much for posting the live show in there. I do appreciate that. But yeah, so this now states that it's closed. So what does this actually mean? There are a few things that it could mean. This doesn't necessarily mean that there has been some kind of definitive action from Indiegogo. Within the terms and conditions of an Indiegogo campaign, they have a stage where basically that campaign can move into what's called in demand, because it's doing very, very well, and that they've actually produced the perks and sent those perks to the end users, and everyone's happy and it's all moving on. And of course it can then move up to a stage called in demand, where as you might expect, that product's in demand, so it gets special status. There is also a cutoff point where beyond such a point that your product has not been delivered and or information hasn't been forthcoming, the campaign can actually automatically move into closed status. Now, if you go by a lot of the updates that we've had previously from Indiegogo, which have been sent directly to backers and that type of thing, with their sort of generic response, and even in that generic response, they talk about the campaign being under investigation and that they have asked for information from the campaign owner, which has not been forthcoming. Now, that's obviously interesting from the point of view that this could be something which is automatic. This could be active, an active sanction taken by Indiegogo, and that's the thing that we're trying to find out. And I think in the next 24 to 48 hours, we will find out an awful lot more information. Or certainly, if there is no information forthcoming, even that in itself is going to tell us an awful lot. I did post on one of the forums that the backers very kindly allow me to be a member of, so that I can obviously gain feedback and information from some of the backers. I did post there asking if anybody had received anything from Indiegogo, from the point of view that informing them that the campaign has now moved into a closed status. Also, indeed, if whether or not they received anything from Extreme Flyers, and nobody has. So there is no sort of, we have taken this action to protect backers, and this is the next stage which is going to be happening, coming from anybody involved in that. In my opinion, I keep saying 24, 48 hours, we need to see some form of public statement from Indiegogo and Extreme Flyers within the next 24 hours to confirm the position. And I think that really is the absolute least that backers can expect on any kind of moral level from both Indiegogo and Extreme Flyers, frankly. Now, there is a concern that I have, and this will now move into Sean's opinion rather than this being based on fact or anything else like that. I have a feeling which has been building, which is something which I have been attempting to dig at more and more and more as this goes on, and we have made some progress along this line, but nothing that I can hold my hands up and say we have proven this beyond a doubt. I feel that the open campaign that of misinformation and of just ludicrous trolling that has been active from Vernon over frankly the length of the campaign since 2019 has actually not been directed towards me or Ash or any other YouTuber who has covered this. And I don't even necessarily think it's the entire campaign as a whole is actually pointed towards the backers. I have a strong feeling, and then again, this is a personal opinion and a feeling based on 2 years of interactions with Vernon and with other people connected with the campaign, both former and current. And I personally feel like he is trying to keep somebody else happy, be that another significant backer in his company overall, in the campaign or something. There is a reason why that's been happening. Now, it could also be just from desperation that he just wants to eke this out as long as possible before he has to admit defeat. If you analyze the recent updates, the recent comments, even his comments in live chats from previous live streams from Vernon himself, you have to see that he almost looks like he's not really starting to lose the plot, frankly. Again, personal opinion. And it seems like there's something else there. There seems like there's another reason. And I think a lot of people who I've spoken to from the journalistic side of things and other people that I've taken advice from have expected a situation, if this was to follow my hunch that something bigger is going on and the campaign is absolutely failing and there is literally no product available to be finished, let alone close to delivery as he claims, then you would normally expect, as unfortunately a lot of crowdfunding campaigns can happen, the campaign owner will simply just vanish, and it then becomes a legal process of tracking that person down, finding out whether there's any money left and that type of thing. And I do wonder whether we're now going to finally reach that jumping off point. And it's a point where at certain stages before, when the campaign was moved back to prototype, that type of thing, I kind of expected things to happen. But I do wonder if there is actually something happening behind the scenes there, in terms of investors or other people involved with the Extreme Flyers or Extreme Toys Limited company, that means things are a little bit more serious for Vernon, and hence he's tried to keep things moving forward. Now, this does need critical action, and I don't think we need to see an Indiegogo statement saying, hey, we're looking into this, we'll come back to you and all that type of thing. I think we need to start seeing legal action, and I think we need to start seeing some more public action from the point of view of and in the same style that Indiegogo have taken against other campaigns that they have found to be acting either, one could argue fraudulently, but certainly not informing the backers, and certainly ending up in a stage where the backers' money, everything just disappears. So I think we need to see some kind of interaction in those terms. Everything I have looked through in terms of where the funds are, at what stage funds get passed, and that type of thing, and what kind of power Indiegogo has, because of course in their terms and conditions they do state that once a campaign's closed and it's failed, that Indiegogo will start providing refunds. That isn't the case when the funds have been passed through, and as we know, those funds have been passed through to Extreme Toys, and as we also know from a lot of the recent updates, I think Vernon's been fairly careful to put a lot of comments in about the tooling and everything else like this, and how much money's been spent, and they simply couldn't afford to reopen the refunds, etc. And I think that is a narrative which is being followed, so that when a day potentially like this comes along, that they're able to justify the fact that there is nothing there for refunds, which is why I applaud the efforts of everybody in groups like the Facebook group and others online, which are helping fellow backers, especially from overseas, to take legal action and get their refunds. I think everybody that's got a refund so far has been very lucky, and I'm really not entirely sure what will happen in the future in terms of being able to gain those refunds in an orderly fashion, because certainly if you look at the stage so far, even people legitimately taking Extreme Toys Limited to court, then we simply haven't seen any kind of situation where Vernon has treated anybody fairly or correctly and has spread the whole thing out. I can only imagine, without a public campaign, without the ability to flannel people about what's coming up with updates and that type of thing, I can only imagine just how much more difficult that communication is going to become, in terms of either people like myself trying to contact Vernon, or backers themselves. So yeah, so that's really where we stand at the moment, and I do think the next 24 hours is going to be vital, and I applaud the backers for keeping on this one. It isn't easy. It isn't easy to continue to attempt to hold someone to account when they give you as much BS and as much trolling of his own community that he does. But we do need to see Indiegogo now step up and provide a public statement. I've sent an email as soon as I saw the closed status to senior members of staff at Indiegogo. Now, as you know, I do have not backdoor channels, but I do have a channel into Indiegogo, and I know for a fact that emails that I have sent in the last hour or so have been received and have been seen by senior members of staff at Indiegogo. So I would absolutely make a very firm request. If anybody from Indiegogo does happen to watch this, which I hope some of you are, then you need to take steps. You need to come out publicly and tell the backers exactly what the situation is and exactly how that affects them in legal terms, and in terms of being able to gain any kind of refunds. Because again, unfortunately, although the campaign is closed, isn't necessarily the end of the world in terms of things for Microdrone 4.0. Looking at the terms and conditions from Indiegogo, once it reaches that stage, for whatever reason, be that automatically because it's hit certain benchmarks in terms of date or anything else, it is now very difficult for that campaign owner to reopen it without the proof of the actual product being ready. And sadly, I just don't necessarily think that is going to happen. Interestingly, since this has been pointed out on here, I think Don Her was the first person to make a public comment on the comment section here. I haven't seen any kind of responses from the campaign owner or from anybody from Extreme Toys or even anybody signed into Vernon's account to answer backers. And looking back, it was literally only an hour before the campaign status seemed to change, that we started to that was the last time we heard anything from Vernon officially on the page. Now, hopefully, as I say, we're going to get some kind of update. I think for legal purposes, for his own sake, frankly, I think Vernon needs to come out and give a public statement, even if that is a public statement in terms of purely to the backers. If I hear in the next 24 hours that backers are getting emails explaining what's going on, and are being given a facility to get their refunds, then fantastic. We've seen that obviously with the Japanese company, Adzuki Trading, who were the Japanese crowdfunding campaign owners. They, of course, in their public statement, even though there was a translation, there's always translation issues, etc. We did clarify it. They confirmed that they felt that the Shenzhen Extreme Toys Extreme Flyers base was no longer able to work. And I'm afraid that, you know, to me was one of the biggest signs that we were very, very close to something substantial happening. I didn't know, because of the potential, although they moved the campaign, forced the campaign back to prototype, I didn't know whether that would be an Indiegogo thing or not, or perhaps, as I say, they're using the date that's in a contract with Vernon, because there is always these benchmarks in there, and if it goes beyond a certain benchmark, I know Indiegogo have the ability to close the campaign. And of course, if Vernon isn't even answering them, as is claimed by Indiegogo, then you can see that Indiegogo would, of course, use that to then close the status, frankly. So there we go. That is the update. I will be keeping on this. This is a story that I will chase, even if this is the final act in terms of the Indiegogo side of things, and we no longer hear from Vernon on there, then I will, of course, keep you up to date. I am here in the UK. I am just outside of London. The Extreme Toys offices are a very short drive from me, and now that restrictions are opening up, you know, there is nothing stopping me from taking further steps to investigate what is happening, frankly. Failsafe FPV says, I wonder if he's watching this. Yes, I hope, whether he is or not, Vernon, if you are watching this, you need to step forward in the next 24 hours and get that statement out and let your backers know what is happening. And for once, no BS, no trolling people, no invented realities here. We need to know what is happening, and you need to tell your backers straight and fair. Let's if this is the end, let's end it the right way, frankly, so that people can actually get their share of refund of whatever is left there, frankly. So as I say, I don't mean to be, you know, a little bit sort of not necessarily downtrodden, etc., but I do feel this is a very serious point in this situation, a very serious point in this campaign, and I am concerned in terms of what will be happening next. As I say, when you are faced with this kind of thing happening, I really don't know what the next stage can possibly be in terms of things opening up, basically. Retrospect VR. Sorry, I'm just doing something in the background. I noticed it's a very small technical issue that I'm having, which I'm going to keep that on the screen for a second while I fix that with the camera. But I'll answer some of the comments while I am doing this. Retrospect VR. Vernon claimed this week that he's been talking to you about Susan's refund perk transfer. Is that correct? I can confirm that straight after the show. Sorry, I need to plug one thing back in. Bear with me. You have to love technical issues. There we go. And it really wouldn't be Geeksvana without a technical issue or two. And sorry, my camera was just about to malfunction there, so I had to do something to stop that. Yeah, straight after my last live show, where the backers and the viewers very kindly donated towards an amount to be donated to Susan, I was contacted. Vernon offered to personally top up anything which wasn't there to buy out the rest of the perk, to which I responded very quickly that no funds will be passed to Vernon whatsoever from Geeksvana, and that those funds would only ever be passed directly to Susan. And yeah, so that conversation ended very, very quickly within 24 hours of the live stream happening. So certainly if he's claiming that this week, I would say that is incorrect for sure. Droneworks TT, I'm not a backer, but I've been following for a couple of years, and I really feel for you guys. Smack my head. Yeah, absolutely. And that's very much where I stand at the moment as well. And I knew this stage would come, and frankly, if we're at a stage where the page is being marked as closed, even in my most optimistic ways, this is really not going to, end in a particularly good way at the moment, frankly. So yeah, I very much do feel on that point of view. Jimbo, about Sean, be careful if you confront Vernon. People on the edge tend to snap and honestly don't think Vernon is really stable. No, I agree with you there, and I would certainly not ever want to. And again, I wouldn't want to. There is no benefit in me doorstepping him or confronting him in a physical, personal point of view. There is no information I'm going to find out. I honestly believe you could have the KGB or CIA lock him in a room for a few weeks, and they probably wouldn't find out much useful information. He is so used to this rhetoric, this line of misinformation that he now passes out. But certainly, I more mean my location in terms of I'm physically able to go and check things to see if offices are still open and that type of thing. We have been in contact with their landlords previously to confirm that their offices are still open, and there's certain things that we'll be able to do. Andrew McQuillan from Crowded Space Drones, also one of our sponsors, Drone Masterclass. Sean, I'll be your bodyguard for the doorstep. Yes, well, we might have. I don't know if anybody remembers the Cook Report. I don't think they ended particularly well as a series, but yes, you could well see Geeksvana on the Cook Report trying to track down the backer's money. Who knows? Yeah, and as the Mojack was saying, they were for season to compensate her for the hassle. He still has to refund her on top, which I completely agree with. Exactly the statement in the email format that we sent to Vernon, that was an extremely generous donation by our audience and the backers, and absolutely nothing to do with Extreme Toys whatsoever. And Jim Beauchamp, any chance he can pass the buck, or is he the only one with his hands in the coffer? Well, interestingly, the way the campaign works, the way that these campaigns work, they do have campaign owners and they do have culpability there. And Vernon Kurzweil, as you can see here, is actually listed as the founder. Now, although of course he runs it under the Extreme Toys Limited side of things, and there is protection for companies that fail in the UK. So if a company goes into insolvency, it can appoint administrators and that type of thing. And if things are found to be working correctly, then of course there can be situations where there is no personal liability. Although of course, if it is found that the director acted improperly, which I would wholeheartedly and again personal opinion, I would wholeheartedly say that publicly stating everything's fine whilst you are settling hundreds of court cases behind closed doors and denying even any more than a few of those are happening, that in itself screams something which I would hope any kind of a company appointed to deal with this would take action over. But again, we have to wonder exactly what the situation is. I don't want to speculate too much beyond my personal opinion, because we do need to see where this will actually take us next, frankly, because it just needs to be this needs to be clarified very, very quickly. And whilst we're in a little bit of an information void, we do have the facts of the campaign now moving to closed, and a very icy silence from Extreme Toys. I mean, who knows? Could this be some kind of technical glitch, and will the campaign show us open again tomorrow morning? Who knows? I sincerely doubt that, though, unfortunately. So yes, and the only thing that I am determined from a personal point of view, if this is now towards the end of the Microdrone 4.0, we absolutely have to ensure that Extreme Toys and Vernon Kurzweil, whatever happens next, that we don't see a Microdrone 5.0. We don't see a Microdrone 4.0 rehashed or being sold or being sold off and that type of thing. I know he took great pleasure in buying the bones of another failed crowdfunding campaign, and I think if anything like that happens here, we need to ensure that the main focus is on releasing as much funds as possible for the backers of this campaign, so that people can frankly get their share of refunds, frankly. Okay, excellent. I think I have whittled on about this particular subject enough today. So as I say, my main points that I want to say here is that the campaign is now marked as closed. We are going by the Indiegogo terms and conditions. This can happen as something which is automated. It can also happen as sanctioned. So again, I appeal directly to the senior management of Indiegogo. You have my email raising this point with you as well. please, even if it's in private correspondence directly to the backers, which of course is a database you have full and free access to, please within the next 24 hours put out a statement to confirm what is happening with this campaign. There is already a lot of stress on individual backers. There are people in very difficult personal circumstances, and we need to start seeing some clarity of this situation. And now it is moved to close. Please do come out and let us know exactly what is happening. Okay, everybody, and as I say, I will of course let you know either via this format, a video, either via the Facebook group or on our community tab, any snippets of information that I do find out. I only tend to go live when I have something solid or something substantial to update you all on. And yeah, as I say, I will keep you all informed of anything else that we hear. Okay, thanks a lot for joining me this evening. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on Geeksvana Live, which is actually tomorrow night at 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be talking about what you need to fly. And if you need any of it, GVC, A2CFC, Article 16 authorization, what is there a mix of those that you can use to get the best flying experience? We're going to explain all of them and what the benefits and perhaps negatives of some of them can be for certain types of flyer, and hopefully help you to be able to open up the UK skies to be able to find some yet more places to fly, which is frankly becoming one of my missions in life, to find UK drone flyers more and more places to fly. So join us tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. EST for that one. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Okay, apologies for coming back there, whereas just as I'm telling everybody that we're leaving, but we now have, almost as if by magic, Vernon Kurzweil appearing in the chat. Vernon, it appears you have held off making a comment until we close the show out. I don't want to be, pessimistic there, but or make accusations, but it would appear similarly to last time where you tried to take credit for the donations towards a backer, that you've attempted to do that as the show closes out, which is idiotic, frankly. So Vernon Kurzweil, hi everyone, Vernon here. Sean's opinion is not correct. The campaign is closed and our focus is now on delivering to backers. So Vernon, could you please confirm in the chat then that the campaign status being moved to closed does not impact your status at all with Indiegogo? And can you please confirm how that was done and who that was done by? I will give you a little bit of time here to answer in the chat, or perhaps we could all cynically look at the fact that you popped that in there as yet more misinformation, thinking the show had ended, which, as Andrew McQuillan has pointed out, a little bit of a schoolboy error there, because of course this is a live stream controlled only by me, and I can come back at any stage that I want to. So I will, as we're just waiting, as Elsmego says his parting shot, and Andy Keith says, Vernon, it's nice to know you are here now, pee off. Yeah, it's one of those situations, isn't it? The clarity is we are delivering to backers and the campaign is closed. Sorry, Vernon, utter BS, utter misinformation and BS. The campaign is closed because you have now breached the contractual terms with Indiegogo. Either they have sanctioned you, or you have now gone past the date, the long shot date agreed with them in your campaign, where you were had to actually deliver those perks. The campaign only closes on Indiegogo if you have delivered or completely failed. So to say that your clarity is we are delivering to backers and the campaign is closed, and the fact that you've only actually mentioned these things as the live stream is ending, I'm afraid to say I'm a little bit of a cynic when it comes to your communication and misinformation, and it would appear that you are, I'm afraid to say that I'm going to call complete BS on that. So far, the two acts of clarity with all the information that we've provided you with this evening for the last half an hour, 40 minutes, is Vernon Kurzweil saying, hi everyone, Vernon here. Sean's opinion is not correct. The campaign is closed and our focus is now delivering to backers. And his second follow-up to that was a clarity that the clarity is we are delivering to backers and the campaign is closed. What clarity is that? You are not delivering to backers. You have not produced any kind of evidence whatsoever that this is happening. Could you also confirm in the chat there, Vernon, when the last time you spoke to Indiegogo is, and can you confirm whether this closed status is any form of issue from the point of view of Indiegogo? And his next answer is, you always speculate and make accusations. Well, I have stated that a good chunk of this evening was opinion. I have also stated that the other opinions on what this could mean for the campaign are based on Indiegogo's own terms and conditions. So if you could perhaps show me or point me towards the part in the Indiegogo terms and conditions that confirms that we close your campaign and you continue delivering to backers, that's a good thing. If you could show me that that's any kind of normal unsanctioned process whatsoever, I would be happy to have that link in the chat for everybody to read, frankly. I would be more than happy for that. Mike Drennan, $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Sean, for all your spot on journalism and delivering the facts and true points. Indeed. I mean, and I do appreciate that. I mean, you know, we are a drone community, and we want to stick by the people who are frankly being swindled and scammed by this campaign at the moment. For this to be the situation, of your own comments page that you were active in only minutes before the campaign status changed, for you to not be stating anything publicly and to be again putting the worst, least possible information out there is ridiculous. We'll be posting more information on our next update. Well, I'm afraid to say, Vernon, that's a bit of an issue as well. Your last update, which was on May the 8th, is now well beyond the minimum period where you are supposed to be providing updates. So you're supposed to be providing updates as a minimum every month, and they're supposed to be meaningful and substantial updates. This is the last update from you, which tells us absolutely nothing. So this update in itself is actually against the terms and conditions that you hold with Indiegogo, because there is nothing substantial here. You're still showing that there are major faults on the drone which you are trying to fix at the moment. You know, to be showing a picture with, oh look, we have another fault here, and to be claiming that you're quality testing certain amounts of units is frankly bizarre. And your little video here showing that again, really professional job here presenting it, by the way, absolutely fantastic. And this actually shows that that the drone is unable to hover. This is 2021. We are now sitting in June 2021, and this little video is the best you can show your fee paying investing backers as far as what's actually happening in terms of your campaign. You move the camera around several times because it cannot even hold its hover position, and I'm afraid everything you do is so disingenuous. Vernon Kurzweil, the most important thing is that we ramp up production and deliver to backers. No, Vernon, the most important thing is that you start to become a little bit more transparent, frankly, because this is going to end in some very serious legal implications for you. One of the most common things that I will state to Vernon on emails, direct messages, I have Skype direct messages in the thousands, literally in the thousands from Vernon. And one of the most common threads throughout all of our conversations is gain some legal advice. Go and speak to a solicitor. He's threatened us constantly with legal action, which I've welcomed, because that would mean he's actually taken some legal advice and might actually start to go along a path which leads this campaign to some form of open honesty. But I'm sorry, Vernon, it is just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Vernon Kurzweil, the responsibility of delivering perks to backers, ours now. Yeah, okay, so what I think you are trying to say is now the campaign is closed, and that is another blow to your BS misinformation. You're now saying that Extreme Toys, we're still going to keep producing the drone because, of course, Indiegogo now don't know what they're talking about. Is that perhaps what you're saying? What you're attempting? Again, because you leave so much space in between the facts, it's very, very difficult to know. But the fact that you're now claiming that the responsibility to deliver perks is yours now, well, it always was. What's new about that statement? was it Indiegogo's responsibility to deliver these? As Oliver Ernst is saying himself, ha ha. Whose responsibility was it before? And as Weevil in the Box is saying, Matt Cundiff. This is interesting. Well, hi Matt, good to see you. So one of our channel members and a supporter of the drone community. On a completely irrelevant note, just because I see Matt in the chat. Matt, it's been great to see more of you out there in the community on live streams and that type of thing. We'll have to have you on Geeksvana one day. You're a really interesting guy and one of the active people in the drone community that we're very fortunate to have. It's good to see you, sir. Yes, so Vernon, could you clarify that for backers and viewers that are asking in the chat there? You've stated that responsibility delivering the perks to backers is, again, you don't even actually, it hovers very well. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And the responsibility of delivering perks to backers is now ours. Who are you saying? Could you answer that in the chat, please? Who are you saying it was before? Who is it that you were saying it was before? Unfortunately, let me just open this into here so we can get a larger picture of this drone hovering very well. This should be fun. As we wait for Vernon to answer us as far as whose responsibility it was before this situation happened. But again, I think we can take from that comment that Vernon does actually see that this is a significant marker and that his relationship with Indiegogo has now reached a new low. Vernon Coswell, that is not correct. Check out all the videos over the past year. You really want us to start bringing up videos from the past year, do you, Vernon? Is this really what you want me to do here? Okay, then just bear with me whilst I leave that playing. And I will just bring up a video in a few moments. Please bear with me, people. Whilst we see this fantastic drone hovering so majestically and not losing altitude whatsoever. Of course, I am being sarcastic. Okay, I'll just clear this advert when it does clear. I'm just going to mute it in my own ear. Now, this is a video from April 27th, 2020. Ah, look at me in my old studio. Bless me. And this actually shows, this was a video that Vernon attempted to keep hidden away from backers. And again, we showed it as a side-by-side comparison, showing what was actually happening in terms of the footage. As you can see on the left here, very shaky footage. This was actually sent to me before a live stream previously, was Vernon's attempt to prove to me that the drone hovered well and that everything was absolutely fine with the campaign, which was a bit of a concern, frankly. Let me just find where that footage starts. Here we go. Interestingly, still being flown by mobile phone at that point, the controller seems to never get mentioned anymore, that people have paid extra money for. Interestingly, I did actually, yes, drone viral, the parrot bebop on the wall. Indeed, I'm actually thinking of putting the bebop on the wall here behind me, actually, which would be interesting. And on the right here, you can see another one of the high quality buttery smooth updates released by Vernon. Again, all of this information has been released by Extreme Toys themselves. So this isn't even sort of, some kind of hidden cam stuff that I've somehow managed to track down. Robert Leather, look, Sean looks so young in that video. Don't, it's only last year. I feel like I have aged. I feel like lockdown and this time has done that. The drone uses optical flow and a barometric pressure sensor that enables the drone to fly autonomously. Okay. Again, I don't know what information that is you're passing to us. All I know is that you have a campaign here, which you originally, to show how out of date this is, I don't think it's even, have you actually removed that part of it? Where it actually shows it being compared to other drones on the marketplace. And sadly, I think it's actually now gone because as it states, the campaign's been closed. Let me see if it's at the bottom of this one as well, actually. See how well I know your campaign page? Shame you don't even know the retail price of your own product. And as you can see here, this shows how out of date it is. That this in the marketing campaign from the launch from Extreme Toys back in 2019 is comparing the drone against the DJI Spark and Tello, and of course saying, oh, 165 pounds the IGG Special against the 400 pound DJI Spark. It's a much better drone. Of course, we've now had 2 releases of the DJI Mini, the Mini 2. Sorry, I realised I wasn't showing you that page then. There it is there. We've now had 2 releases of the DJI Mini and the Mini 2. And of course, we now have the Mini SE about to come out, which is £299, which is going to be, again, a really useful drone, a really great entry-level drone for people. And it actually exists. There's packaging, there's leaks of this little Mini SE out there. And the problem is, Vernon, is that you cannot produce any kind of evidenced supported video of showing everything working, showing maximum flight time, showing the app working fully well, showing the controller. If you were anywhere near any kind of production, you would have finished articles at the factory. You would, for someone that shows this as, frankly, some kind of significant leap forward in what's happening, then I'm sorry to say that that you failed, because in my opinion, if you had more to show us, if you had the factory running, if you had working 100% working prototypes, the update page would be full of updates, and you would be more than happily sat there saying, look, Sean from Geeksvana was wrong, Ash Har from Droning On doesn't know what he's talking about, all these people are talking nonsense, trust in the process, and you would be showing us these updates constantly. The fact that you're not showing us anything and only showing strange videos of a drone barely managing to hover, and certainly not hovering to the level and the autonomy that you even tonight are claiming it can, is utterly bizarre. Vernon Kurzweil, watch the demo video flying outside, where there is a video without me moving around the drone and you can see it hovering on the spot. It flies majestically. So are you talking about now, again, a previous iteration of the drone? Because of course, since that video, which by the way does not show what you're saying it does, you of course have changed the airframe and you have changed a lot of the drone because it didn't pass its production runs, as you previously stated. Are you now actually admitting that this is the same drone? I'm slightly confused as the situation there, as to your claim. I won't let Sean trash talk our project. We're working for backers, not Sean. Absolutely. Then don't come to my live streams. How does that sound? Sean is just jealous. Rather than cyber stalking our project, why don't you look at other projects? Well, again, the reason the Microdrone 4.0 project has become something of a cause, frankly, that I am now very, very keen to continue following is because unlike yourself, I have got to know many of your backers, and I know faces, names. It's a great group of people, and I am deeply, deeply frustrated that you have scammed people and misled them out of the initial investment. And then when it failed, rather than being a grown-up and coming forward and saying, this has failed, now unfortunately this is what's going to happen, and frankly facing that, you have run away and hidden and provided misinformation at every single stage of this. Frankly, every single stage of this. To say I'm jealous of what? There is nothing to be jealous of. You have a room probably no bigger than my studio, in a serviced office in southwest London, and a company which has not produced the drone which you claim it will. I don't know whether there is anything there to actually be jealous of, with all due respect. And again, you know, that really isn't the conversation here. The conversation is the fact that, as Master Stupid is saying, it's been over 2 years. You just need to admit you are a complete failure and a scammer, which again is actually a voice there from the backers. And yes, and as Weevil in the Box says, Sean knows faces, names, and genuine stories of hardship. Here, have a t-shirt. Exactly, indeed. And Vernon, I'm sorry, Ash Hall is wrong. Again, Sean doesn't know what he's talking about, from Vernon Kurzweil. So Vernon, Could you explain in the chat just very quickly for me? Because again, this is another moment where you're starting to look a little bit foolish, I'm afraid. You're quiet the entire live stream, the entire time that I present this to the audience. Once I start the end credits and once I actually start to shut the show down, you then choose to jump in there and say, oh, Sean's wrong, it's incorrect, we're still delivering to backers. And then since then, you have actually provided no information, evidence, links to anything at all, where you are not actually able to provide any kind of information whatsoever or any kind of evidence. Could you back that up at all? Vernon Kurzweil, you are stupid. No, not the recent. I know the one you mean of you hovering in the park, but surely that isn't the same drone because of the failed production runs and having to redo things and it being moved back to prototype status. And unless of course you want me to go through and timestamp all of your comments on the IGG page and the claims you have made, because it seems that you're the stupid one here, Vernon, because you're now not even starting to remember your own lies, frankly. And I'm afraid what you've just stated is actually a lie. You're either, with the comments you've made in the live chat this evening, you're either confirming that you are fraudulently operating this campaign, or of course you're not operating a campaign anymore because it's been closed, or that you have been lying to backers regarding the updates in terms of what's actually been happening with the drone recently. Because again, when you look at your update here, your last update, hi to everyone. In today's update, I wanted to let you know how we are getting on with testing as we move towards resuming production. For the past month, we have been carrying out batch testing, units that are being built at the factory and sent to us for review. The results are very positive and I've been encouraged by the improvements made. We're relaying feedback to the production team on a daily basis, and this is being funneled into the assembly line. Here is one of the units sent to us last week in the video demonstration below. The drone takes off, flies up, flies down, then hovers. Now, again, this is not delivering to backers soon. The fact that you are in batch testing shows again that the misinformation that you put out is absolutely false. Vernon Kurzweil, okay, so Vernon has now, unfortunately, descended into complete trolling once again, which is, Vernon, you give yourself the rope and you hang yourself with it. We have been transparent, in caps, all in caps again. I am here. You're just a liar. You have no respect. I certainly don't respect you, Vernon. That is for sure. Interactive DNA, when it comes to tech, working demo is a must. Yes, absolutely, or it will fail. This is how I've engineered things. This is how I engineered the things I do. Live demo your tech and move on. Absolutely, 100% agree with you there. Thank you. And that's one of the factors which I have tried to convey to Vernon several times on direct message and email over the many months that I've been in contact with him. That actually he has a community of backers that are from some pretty cool backgrounds. Frankly, he has engineers in there. He has photography experts. He has all kinds of technical experts that are within his backers community that people would have been more than happy to have got involved and just chatted about it. Not saying that they had more expertise than your factory or the great Vernon Kurzweil, the drone expert of the UK, but certainly people that could have been giving input and actually been assisting in giving different angles. I, for one, if I have an issue with any kind of project that I'm running, whether that answer comes from anybody, frankly, I'm happy for that answer to happen. And the fact that you're so disingenuous with your own backers is crazy. Vernon Kurzweil, my first message on the live stream was posted long before you announced the end. Well, perhaps I didn't notice you in there, but your comment regarding the status of the campaign, etc., and you confirming the status was at least 10 to 15 seconds into the end credits running, and I feel was actually a deliberate maneuver by you again to cast some kind of false misinformation, false narrative across the whole thing. We have delivered prior to COVID-19. If we have delivered, okay. Attempt to form your fully capitalized troll comments into English sentences. I would really appreciate it, Vernon, if you don't want to be misquoted. We have delivered prior, if we have, okay, I'm pretty saying if we had delivered prior to COVID-19, there would be no allegations or nasty accusations. Okay. People who know me will know that a movie that I enjoy, and I, in fact, rarely with sequels enjoyed the sequel as well, Zombieland. I don't mind, you know, I enjoy both highbrow and so-called lowbrow entertainment in both literary and on-screen terms. And Zombieland's one that I like. And one of the things that always makes me laugh is the zombie kill of the week. And I have to say, Vernon Kurzweil, you get the nonsense comment of the week. If you had already delivered this product prior to COVID-19, there would be no accusation. Of course not, because people would have their product, people would have their perk. I'm not even 100% sure you're connected with, I mean, is this actually a bot answering? Because that's a nonsensical line that doesn't really make any kind of sense, frankly. You didn't deliver before COVID-19, despite the fact that there is written evidence of emails campaigning for people to buy the products, guaranteeing a June 2019 delivery, 2 full years from where we are now. And Vernon, again, in capitals, it is accurate information. You always spread misinformation. Well, I'm more than happy for you to show any. Why don't you make your next update disproving, you know, get all of the backers back on your side and make your next update on the Indiegogo page a rallying call and disprove the so-called nonsense that YouTubers and other people have said about your campaign, and show the evidence. Show deep evidence. Have you know, grab a camera, interview members of your team, talk about the challenges that you have faced. You know, do a little bit of positive PR. Have the factory do some date proven a video of the thing actually being run. Perhaps again some interviews with people from your team or certainly your contractors there at the factory. Show some evidence. That is, of course, if you're even allowed to make updates on a campaign that is now stated as closed on Indiegogo. We have to wonder that. We have the best community. Again, Vernon moving straight into the world of trolling there. Vernon Kurzweil, we meet up all over the world and talk about drones. Backers are rooting for us to finish. So sorry, so someone has paid you money and they're rooting to get the thing that they have paid for. Revolutionary, absolutely revolutionary, frankly. Okay, now this could go on forever. This would go on forever if I allowed it to. I will give Vernon just a minute or two whilst I respond to some of the other comments and thank people for coming in. I will give you a minute or two, Vernon, which I'm being more than fair in doing, giving you the opportunity to give some actual facts rather than just stating misinformation. Our focus is on delivering to backers, etc. Tell us what has happened with the campaign today. Tell us why the campaign has moved to closed. Was this a contractual thing because of the time scale and it's just simply run out of time? And under the Indiegogo terms, as we both know, if you don't fulfill within that benchmark period, you have to close the campaign, frankly. Or was this an active sanction from Indiegogo? I have a feeling you only have about 24 to 48 hours to make that statement. So I would be very, very careful about what you say in the next 24 to 48 hours, because of course it does appear that even the thin veil of Indiegogo is now been removed from you, frankly. And can you also confirm that now it has closed, you are claiming that you are going to continue delivering this to backers? And whilst you're doing that, could you provide information on where your future updates will appear, perhaps? Because perhaps they won't be appearing on a closed page. Not actually even sure if a campaign owner can do that with a closed page. So as I say, we want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you looking at the numbers. Thank you for people that have actually popped back in as well. I attempted to make this show a nice short one. We have exciting updates to share. Sorry, you don't. Colonel Sanders, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Steve Carpenter, SC Aerials, thank you. And I want to say thank you to the wider drone community as well, because people like Steve and Matt that I mentioned before, and lots of you who are the regular viewers of my live streams and of lots of the community live streams out there in the drone and tech world. I really appreciate how you've all come along to these live streams and watched the videos and helped these backers to understand that there is a wider sense and a wider truth to the drone community. One of the things that has frustrated me deeply about this story is the fact that a lot of these people were first-time would-be drone owners. I say would-be because no drone has come out of it, and that they were looking forward to getting a genuinely good product. If it met the specs over 2 years ago, that would have been a genuinely good little drone for the money. And of course, they didn't get that. But I'm frustrated that of those thousands of backers and the millions that was raised, there's thousands of people there that were put off the drone community from that experience. I know a lot of them have gone on to buy the DJI minis and that type of thing, because they do kindly send me messages and emails showing me with their new drones, which is absolutely fantastic. And frankly, there are, drones out there like the Bugs drones and those type of ones, which, although I'm not expert in myself, I know that they are just as capable as this machine which is being built, basically. And so, yeah, so thank you to the wider drone community. I really do appreciate you guys coming along and supporting them all. It really is fantastic. I can't wait to get Microdrone 4.0 into the hands of backers. How? When, Vernon? When is this going to happen? It is simply shocking the way that you have conducted yourself. And it actually starts to become to the point where I have to back down, and this has happened before in this process. I have to back down because I genuinely am concerned as to putting too much pressure on Vernon when he is clearly not acting in any kind of rational way, and that does concern me, but on a personal level. So again, he has fallen quiet. I expect him to start answering again once the credits roll, unless there's anything too controversial. I don't intend on coming back. But Vernon, anything controversial you put in there after this will be removed and reinstated after the show by our wonderful moderators. So you don't get to troll people as it goes out. I've given you an acre more time to put anything else in the chat to prove anything, to show us evidence of what you're actually doing, and all you've said is that you look forward to putting the Microdrone 4 in the hands of backers, which is frankly something you've been saying for over 2 years now. There we go. Thank you everybody for joining us. See you next time on Geeksvana Live. Have a fantastic evening. See you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's going to be a great show, especially for the UK Flyers. Really look forward to seeing you then.